Okay, what's happening, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to another client interview with another one of our wonderful clients who had to chase down for this interview as our schedule is so busy. And I'm joined by Rebecca here, and she's been a client of ours for more than a year now, and she has absolutely smashed it with the program. And we're currently in a wonderful rebuilding phase with her business, and I wanted to interview her to go over her progress. So, Rebecca, I obviously know you very well, but for the people watching right now, why don't you introduce who you are, who you serve, and the transformation that you deliver to your clients?
Sure. My name is Rebecca. I'm the owner and founder of Riser and Rule. And we build female millionaires by building a profit architecture for women who are finished with playing small. And we have a lot of fun while we're doing it. And I'm delighted to be here, Nora. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's it. And just to paint a picture in the viewer's mind, where was the business prior to joining from a revenue standpoint compared to where it was once you joined the program and was enrolled with us?
It's so funny when you do things for other people all the time, it's really difficult to do things for yourself. You have natural blind spots, and being able to step into an ecosystem that is able to speak at my level, but also have a level of consistency changed everything for us. So, where the business was when I began with you guys, I was customizing offers all the time. I was shifting through multiple layers of change to try and tailor and mold, which just wasn't sustainable. I was working around 80 to 90 hours a week, and I was perpetually pushing up against burnout. And burnout is a real thing. And by the time I hit my third month in EasyGrow, I was able to have a lot better of a delivery system, but also consistency within the ways that I was architecting, which was so peace giving and so I could relish in it because growth isn't luck, it's leverage. And so being able to have that structure with Easy Grow, have the resources was just an amazing experience. And so we started around 20 to 35, but it was
Hmm.
fluctuating per
Yep.
month. And then we got up to around 50 per month on average. And we're really proud of that.
Yep. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So, Rebecca, prior to joining the program, it'd be great to know how you actually came across us to begin with.
Yes. I had been watching Charlie for a while on YouTube. I totally forgot about this. And I just loved his YouTube. I really delighted in the fact that he spoke in science and physics, but also history and perspective that was
Hmm.
philosophical and rich. And it was really a different channel to me for a really long time. I was one of those people that stalked him for a while. Like I just sat
Yeah.
in the observation room, I
That
guess, for a
that was
while.
me when I first enrolled as a client. I was doing the same thing. I'm like, "Yep, Charlie, I'll buy your stuff now."
So when I finally booked my sales call, I remember the closer saying to me, "What took you so long?" And I couldn't even tell them. But that is my one regret. I wish I would have reached out much sooner. But yeah, it was really funny, and I totally forgot about that. Great question.
Yeah, amazing. I always love asking that because sometimes people forget, oh, how did I come across this? Was it an ad? Did a setter get me? So right now we're tagging so many different channels, so it's always good to know. Cool, Rebecca. What were the prior to joining, right? What were the problems you were facing which led you to go, right, I need to get into this program here to get this sorted out?
Yeah, so I had the capacity to create larger offers. I just had a block and a blind spot in the ways to do it and the ways to deliver it and streamline those pieces. And when I was thinking about client acquisition for myself, I wasn't able to actually architect that as efficiently as I needed to without streamlining more of my offer. So, like I said, I was customizing all the time. And that was definitely something that it doesn't help you. You don't need more ideas. You need more of a machine and leverage and throughput that's consistent. And being able to allow myself to kind of rewrite the structure of the business and then optimize it for flow created so much better of a process on so many fronts, from delivery to consistency to client acquisition to even just articulating what we did. And we've created 5 millionaires so far, working on number 6 and 7.
Crazy.
As a matter of fact, 6 could have happened last year, but I didn't push her because I recognized that burnout was more expensive for her, and the cost of
Mm,
that was not worth it at that stage. And thanks to Charlie and his systems, it gave me the right perspective. Whereas I think I can kind of be a little too I'm competitive. I like to win. And when you're 97,000 away from hitting a million and being my 6 millionaire, it's a hard thing to push somebody. So even as a coach and a resource to my girls, it has changed me as well, and for the better.
yeah, love that. Absolutely love it. It's like you're fighting right with them. You're fighting harder than them, if anything. That's it.
It's my heart is truly in the game, and it's something that is the most rewarding experience to be able to have resources like Charlie creates, that are high potency, direct, and actually able to implement nearly right away. I mean, you stick with his process, and truly, like, he tells you exactly how to win, you will win.
Yep, absolutely. When it comes to like the inconsistency that you described where before joining the program, right, where it was just up and down, what do you know what was causing it and how we helped fix that? It'd be great to know like the process behind that.
Yeah, actually, I can share with you that I had about 4 different businesses that I
Oh
connected
wow.
with, that tried to fix it unsuccessfully. So my level of resistance was through the roof when I first
Mm,
started talking to your closer. And she was incredibly patient with me and did not hard sell me, which I really appreciated. She approached it with logic and simply just this calm, and created a experience of it's not a one hit wonder to actually get through the program and actually complete these
yep.
pieces. Like, you can feel confident in these layers. But she understood that there was some wounding there. And I think for a lot of people, especially in marketing and lead generation, that's a common aspect
Hmm.
that they've had. I know my girls have it. And I empathize with that very, very deeply because it was a pain for me for years. But in my coaching business, in the acquisition space, in the profit architecture space, and beyond, I kept on having these problems, and it's felt to me that nobody else could fix it, and nobody else could really speak to me from a perspective of what was really wrong. And it wasn't until I actually entered into EasyGrow that that customization and the throughput analytics in my mentality shifted, because I realized I didn't need all of these different ideas to optimize. I needed to create more of a machine. And so I can tell you all the things that were wrong with those programs. But I can also tell you that the things that were right about EasyGrow were so um, beautifully simplified and
Mm,
able to be placed into the business from a leverage perspective, that it created a lot of peace. So
yeah.
it created freedom from that.
Yeah, it's great because I've spoken to a couple of clients like yourself. Even yesterday, I was speaking to another mastermind client called Chris Wasocki. Shout out to Chris Wasocki. He said a similar thing to you, where he's like, "Oh no, I actually had all the components available. This program helped me fit it together." So it kind of relates to what you said, Rebecca, where it's like, of course, you were having problems and whatnot, and you may have entered EasyGrow thinking, right, I need some new things, which of course we can help you with, but you already had the existing components available to you. It's just piecing to them together in the right way, right?
Mhm. Yes, and I think that's where the logic and the perspective from, if you want millions, you need to build a model. It's not going to happen without with just like vibes and I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, right? And so when you can formulate the model inside of EasyGrow, and you can get really, really clear around, I need these 3 components, shift that, create that machine, and let it go. that
Yep.
that was necessary for me. Whereas for other people, I can do that and I can say, don't touch it, let it go. You have to
Yep.
eye the tiger, leave it, leave it, leave it. But for myself, I needed somebody to speak to me at that perspective and at that level. And I then was able to really start governing instead of having to feel like I had to keep grinding. So,
Yep.
mhm.
Fantastic. Yeah. And that's another thing that what you said at the end. So many people are at a certain level where they're experiencing the inconsistent months. They feel they can just outgrind it and out acquire the inconsistency, right?
And that's so interesting because it doesn't help. Your brain isn't working in the right mechanisms. Your brain is working in
Yeah.
survival. And once
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
recognize the ways that you can shift that environment and actually create those ecosystems, you can bring the vision, but EasyGrow really builds the engine and allows you to clarify exactly what needs to
Yep.
be placed there strategically. So
Yep. Exactly that. Talk to me about like your early days, Rebecca. Cool. You've had you're stalking Charlie as per your admission, right? On YouTube and whatnot. There was a ton of resistance in enrolling in the program, which is perfectly natural if you've had other bad experiences. When you finally landed inside the school group, talk to me about how you approached the program in terms of, the changes you made to start seeing the positive shifts in your business.
anytime I enter a anything, I get completely obsessed. And while that is my brilliance, it is also my toxicity. And so when I entered into Easy Grow, I was religious about going into every single program, every single
Yeah.
lesson,
Yep.
module, do the homework, complete it, move to the next, to the point where I was still talking to the closer that had closed me, and I had given her updates from it's like module 1 to module 3 within like the first month. And she messaged me back and she's like, what you did what? and, and I told her, I was like, hey, I told you I would be obsessed. I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
And so I think like when you enter any sort of opportunity, you have to look at it and be the best student that you can be. And this is something that I tell my girls as well. When you step into something, you have to understand that revenue is always a reflection of clarity. And you only get that clarity by being open enough to learn and being open enough to see those blind spots. And so I was quite obsessed, and I just moved that
Good.
stalking quality into obsession in the program itself. And I completed the homework. I was asking questions. I was super involved. I just let everything go to the wayside that I would um, have normally, and that I think is a recipe for success.
Yeah, amazing stuff. From the program, what sorts like strategies did you pull from it to start making the shift towards like consistent revenue months and away from the inconsistency that you were originally facing?
Yeah, so really funny story. I am a bit dyslexic and OCD at the same time, which is super fun. You would think that they would cancel each other out, but they don't. And so tracking numbers and knowing what numbers to track
Yes.
allowed me to understand how to place them in my
Yep.
viewpoint versus giving them to other people. The biggest thing that I kept on doing was I was placing it to other people before Charlie's program. And I would take my focus off of the numbers and get back into the business, which I thought was what I should be doing. And instead, I have a series of, and I know this does not sound great, because if you would have told me this in the front end of things, I think I would have run away. But I have a series of spreadsheets that I look at every single morning, like a religion. And I still do this, and I process it and I look at it and I understand it, and then I move on. I can't look at it in the afternoon because my brain jumbles it all up. But first thing in the morning, super fresh, like even before I'm getting my cup of coffee, that has been something that has transformed in so many ways. Because when you know your numbers and you know the things that are created in that space, you thrive. You have a certain level of confidence
Absolutely.
and peace. Yeah.
Yep. Let's stick with the numbers part. How important are those numbers, Rebecca? Because a lot of people watching this right now, and a lot of people who maybe were in your spot where you're making 10, 20, 30K a month up and down, you're thinking, oh, I don't need numbers. I'm already doing well. Like, how much of a game changer was that alone when you started to track your data?
I can confidently tell you that that's what looking forward to that in the next couple of months.
Absolutely.
And being able to have that confidence isn't a guessing game, it's
Mm,
a sure perspective because the ways that those numbers are stacking, you have a certain level of understanding with what styles to leverage.
yep.
When you know that, you can make your pipeline behave. And I really appreciate
Yeah.
that because I always thought that it was, I mean, I come from a background of finance. There's a lot of grind in finance,
Yep.
and you make your own opportunity and you push and you put yourself out there. And I'm stubborn. And that is a problem because then you create a sure burnout process, right? Whereas knowing the numbers, letting it stabilize, letting it leverage, and letting it grow is that next level for success. And that is the ways that you build the system once and then you collect the returns forever. And it's just a matter of knowing which numbers to optimize for where you want to be at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you described it perfectly with one word, where it's peace. Because like, when you're winning and when you're thriving and whatnot, right? It's amazing because you just look at your numbers and you're like, oh, this is why we're doing what we're doing. But then even more, what's even more better is the freeing feeling of when things are going wrong, you're no longer panicking, you're no longer emotional, you're no longer like playing the guessing game, you're no longer scared of looking at your screen. You literally do as you said in the morning. Oh, spreadsheet, okay, these are my numbers. Oh, that's the one KPI where I need to fix, and that's the cause of that. It's like, okay, cost per qualified calls high, I need to look at my ads. Oh, this is why, let's switch out the video. But it's freeing, right, where you have that shift now, all because of the numbers.
Yeah, I think also it's healed a certain level of the relationship I have with my business. And
Mm,
I feel like I can trust my business now versus wondering where is it going to end up and hoping that my hustle is going to push it through. And yes, exactly right. That piece is so um, rich, and it's something that creates an environment where you want to stay in the business. You know,
yeah,
I think that as business owners, we are perpetually trying to push and push and push, and we see all this opportunity. And there are times where you get so exhausted. And I know that there's levels here of men and women, and everyone operates differently in between too. You know, there's so. But for me, that's something that I get to a certain point, and I almost would love to be an assistant someplace or work someplace instead.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now I know my structure, my margins, my numbers, and I have peace with that, and that's
yeah.
sexy.
Yeah, exactly that. It's funny because in the internet marketing space, you can honestly brute force your way. Like you've done this yourself. You can brute force your way to 30K a month, and life can be good, but then it's chaotic. Like you don't know what's going on, right? And then and it can get to a point where you're like, oh, I'm gonna pack this in, I'm gonna go get a job or whatever. But then actually it's a matter of slowing down and just putting data wherever it is. And so it's kind of finding that balance where it's like, right, I am gonna brute force initially to get clients through the door. And of course we even tell our clients to do the same, the beginners, right? But we also tell them, guys, balance brute force with data and you're gonna be unstoppable.
Precisely. I think like before I was busy and I could be booked with the things that weren't really working.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am structured and wealthy, and there's a difference, and
Yeah.
it's boring. And
Yeah.
that to me is sexy.
Yeah. I love that you made that point. To anyone watching, every client interview that you see, of course, these guys are enjoying their life, their business, whatever, but their day to days are very boring. But that's because it's engineered in that manner where it's not fun looking at numbers, but it's what provides the fun life beyond it. So it's nothing. We always get people, asking, "Oh, what do you guys do differently?" And what's this and what. To be transparent with you, we don't do anything differently. We just do the boring stuff that other people don't want to tell you to do, and we preach it to clients like Rebecca who actually follow.
Amen. Amen.
That's it.
Well said.
Yeah, yeah, I had to emphasize that because everyone just wants the fun stuff. Like as much as we want to do the fun stuff, it's just it's the money is behind the boring stuff, guys. So yeah, Rebecca, one thing I
Mhm.
want to touch on is acquisition genesis, and we briefly like touched on the theory behind it and whatnot. But how important was that module um, to the success you had with the rest of the program? Because in the current climate we're in, especially in internet marketing, and I always reference this in my other interviews, people want a magic script. People want a magic outreach tool. People want a magic niche or whatever it is, right? And the way we design acquisition genesis is to make people understand that it's not about the niche, it's not about the outreach, it's not about the tool, it's about understanding how and why you're doing what you're doing to make yourself strategy proof, essentially. So I'd love to get your take and your opinion on the module in its entirety and how important it was to your success.
Yeah, acquisition genesis was something that I can confidently say was life changing. I have rewatched that module about 6 or 7 times in its entirety, which it's quite a
Wow.
few hours.
I think that's
So
a record. Yeah.
quite a few hours.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that from a personal perspective, if you would have met me about 15 to 20 years ago, I was homeless. I kind of block out some of my timeline on this. It's about 20 years ago now. I was homeless and I was between circumstances, and um, I was living in a car. And my mindset at that time, and also at certain intersections of life, because there's certain things that kind of follow you with that over a period of time, um, weren't necessarily the best. I mean, from a coach perspective, I think that it actually makes me so much better because I'm able to see certain things that many people can't see. But from a personal perspective, behind the scenes, I was just not happy. I don't know how else to say that. And so, building the business in a way where I can look at it and say, I'm genuinely happy, it has changed my life completely.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, that module in particular was something that I took as um, a rewiring for my neurology. And
Yep.
it has stayed with me pretty intensely. And I'm really, really grateful for that. I realize now that there were certain ways I was thinking and certain things I was associating with. And, I think that that is something that built me for results in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Amazing. Wonderful, wonderful story there. Absolutely love that. One thing that like I wanted to touch on as well is the fact that you said you rewatched it like 6 or 7 times, right? So a lot, and that's not me teasing you for it. We actually tell clients to rewatch it. Maybe not that many times, but no, no. But it's great because it comes back to I think what Homozy said, where it's like you need to be what's it called? You need to be reminded the same things as opposed to be taught. I completely butcher that. You need to be reminded more than you need to be taught new things, right? And how important was that to you, Rebecca? Because again, a lot of times with content material, people just want to go through it once and then they forget everything. With you, I'm adamant that you have the success that you have now because you're constantly revisiting the principles.
Yes, I think being able to remind myself in times where business is fluctuating or moving a different way or really honing my discipline was what created that practice into a method. Because, and also in my past, I used to be a professional ballet dancer. And in ballet, when you practice the fundamentals, you optimize for brilliance and you're always striving for perfection, but you know that you could never get there. And so being able to treat this like a ballet room and understand that I am going to consistently repeat the base levels every single time you're stepping into class, it changes everything. And so, to the point where I have correction notebooks on myself and my business, because it
Wow.
allows me to see what I'm actually focused on and how I'm leveraging those pieces. So, From that perspective, absolutely, you need to be reminded. I mean, I go to a Pilates class now occasionally, and like I still forget to close my ribs. And it's just it's one of those things that you get to see those things in practice physically, but you very rarely get to see how you can deliver those pieces in business, also physically, but mentally as well. And all of those layers combine to create the type of leader that you are. And I can move now like a CEO, and I'm so not made for being a firefighter. And so it's really peace giving in so many different ways. I wish that everybody could go through that specific module. Even once, it would be life changing for them.
Yeah, I had a client interview. I think his name was Saxon. Shout out to Saxon. He didn't even finish it. He got to the offer part. He didn't even submit his offer, but he got what he needed, and he just tripled the business. So he was telling me, he's like, yeah. But then it comes back to what we were speaking about here. He just needed the theory and putting the pieces together for his existing assets. So yeah, no. I need to check if he has finished it because it's been a long time now, so that'd be quite funny. Cool, that's amazing stuff. Rebecca, in terms of how your business looks, how did it look before, from like a ops and team standpoint compared to how it looks now?
Yeah, we thinned out significantly, actually. We ended up, so when we started, we had about 12 to 15 contractors, VAs, all of the things. I mean, we were constantly customizing, so we needed a really large team. Our margins were really thin. And now we're striving to get to about a 70% margin. We're right now at about 75. So being able to know that like we're moving that down and down and down is pretty powerful. But when we hire now, it's more of a diagnostic. It's no longer a, oh my God, I just need to fix this. It's a who can we place and where and how, and does this offer structure actually work in this space? How are we assessing this decision? And then really optimizing it for future and growth is where the pressure doesn't get to choose. I get to choose intellectually, and that has changed significantly. So now we have a team of only about four, which is incredible.
Yep.
And we have much more of a streamlined process. Everything is process oriented, and so I can literally. I'm in Arizona right now. I can go for a hike all day and come back and know that everything is going to get completed, and that
Oh, that's
is
beautiful.
powerful. Mhm.
Yeah, love it. Amazing. Here's a question for you. How does version one of Rebecca look, the one that joined the program or pre-joining the program, compared to the version I'm speaking to right now? Like, what identity shift did you have in order to succeed? Were there any limiting beliefs you had beforehand? Like, or did you have an open mind to everything?
I'm definitely one of the most open-minded people. I find that open-mindedness is a precursor to success, and I actively look for that in clients, and I am an advocate for that for myself at all times. But now it's something that, before I used to have these spirals in these moments where a lot of chaos was happening. I was super frustrated. It would bleed into other areas of my life. And I think also there's a combination of the program and the perspective, but there's also the ways that that perspective goes into action and how that action produces evidence. And that evidence is something that you can trust. And when you shift those things, your boundaries become a certain level of bandwidth, and you know where those layers are. And that has been just exquisite for me. There are still some times where I'll just get obsessed and I'll go for like
Yeah.
15 hours for multiple days. But because I want to, not because I have to. And that's really the difference. Whereas before I was doing it constantly because I felt like I didn't know what was going to happen. And now looking at spreadsheets, as unsexy as that sounds, is really sexy. Looking at the spreadsheets, leveraging it, and then planning changed the whole capacity. It also shifted the way that I coach my girls as well, and really came to birth a mission that we are on right now, where we're on a mission to create 50 female millionaires, and being able to do that for our girls in a system and in a process changed my entire perspective too. Because now I know that if it costs me my piece, it's way too expensive. And being able to have that
Yeah.
clarity and exactly how to do it is a life changer. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Amazing stuff. You obviously joined our mastermind after me and Hannah was just harassing you on WhatsApp individually saying, "Oh, Rebecca, when you joining? When you joining?" And a wonderful sign on the car, which you can explain shortly. When did you join again, Rebecca? It was December, right? I'm pretty sure it was December, November.
I think it was December. Um,
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah. Let me, to people watching this, obviously, we'll take a mini break here because I do want to highlight this. Cool, Rebecca, you joined. Yeah, you joined halfway through December. Cool. You've been in the
yes.
mastermind now for just 2 months. Sadly, we couldn't get to see you in New York, so you haven't actually attended an event yet. But you've obviously gotten to experience the Slack support, the mastermind recordings, the coaching calls, and whatnot. Tell me about your experience so far in the mastermind and how that sort of additional layer of support, um, how you find it so far, essentially, or how you found it so far.
Yeah, so we still had some little pieces of inconsistency that are more of a desire for just that next level of optimization that we needed to fix. And so we really wanted to get to a place of two appointments a day in a way that is moving our business forward consistently. And within the first week and a half, meeting with the team, optimizing those pieces, and getting to that place was really beautiful. And again, being able to speak peer to peer with people who understand what you're talking about, what you desire, and what you're trying to get to, that are going to produce the results in that space if you follow the instructions, uh, is so again peace giving. I mean, I can't even tell you how lovely that is. We're now moving to 4 a day, and just being very diagnosed with our next level of architecture as well, and that's really peace giving too. I mean, I can message somebody at any time and just drop a question and know that probably within like 24 hours I have an answer from somebody that I can trust and I can move on. And so like you don't have to use your filters as often. And
Hmm.
this is hard to explain, but I think most CEOs will probably understand this or who are at a higher level. There are times when you have to use your filters because somebody else is coaching at a lower level. And in
Absolutely.
the mastermind, it's an understanding of like, let me meet you right there and let me tell you exactly what to plug in. And it's like, okay, great, now I can move on. And so that allows for a certain softness where in your business you can just kind of relax a little bit. So it's kind of like having a really strong partner to be like, no, 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 go this direction, and we're going to go around this puddle or whatever, and guide you very safely. You don't think about how he's moving you. You just are able to trust that you're
Yeah.
building it correctly.
Yeah. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful. You're coming to Amsterdam next month, right?
Yes.
Amazing. So that's Rebecca's first event. Wonderful stuff. Cool. Rebecca, talk to me. What's the next goal we're gunning for? Let's say a year's from now, 1 year from now, where do you want to be at?
1 year from now.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 year from now, I'd love to be at 200 a month. In the next 4 months, I'd like to be at 125 a month.
Mm,
So we're pretty focused on that right now, and being able to, like I said, just build those 50 female millionaires is so important right now. And being able to have that delight and have that confidence at the same time. And that's the other thing with the mastermind. If I ever have an issue with a client or something that's like not working from my perspective, I can just bring it over to the mastermind and be like, yo, what am I doing? Like, what's my blind spot here?
yeah.
And just have like a real conversation. And that's also peace giving because it has created my delivery confidence and so many more uh such a stronger level is what
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
There we go. We were looking for that magic word, but we'll settle with those two. But no, you're absolutely right. And for people watching, obviously I make a joke about it, Rebecca, but it's kind of true. You do have like an eight-figure back pocket in your team with like you got Charlie, Bo. Susie, our wonderful CMO. You've obviously got Selway, myself. You got Caspo who helps out with sales now. There's an entire army there where it's like, oh, if I need something, I can just ping a message, right on your phone if you do have Slack on your phone.
That's a great descriptor. It's an army, because when you have threats and you have other pieces that are happening inside the business, you don't want to have that feeling of like, oh, shoot, like I actually don't know how to best handle this, or I don't know how to deal with this in this moment. You can turn to a team of experts, and it's so powerful. It really is. It's like a
Absolutely.
Roman Empire,
Yeah, that's it.
really.
And it's
Hmm.
funny because like we're all kind of multifaceted. So it's like I've been involved in every area of the business. So it's like I feel like an octopus at this point where it's like I can advise you on your outbound or on your VSO, whatever it may be. I can even chip in. I think you had a question today actually about comp structure for a setter, right? So I was like, right, let me take a look. So there's all these different things where it's not like, oh, I need to ask Survey only for this or no only for this. It's like, no, everyone can jump in and say, hey, Rebecca, here's my take. Let me pull in Survey. So we'll go, yeah, this is what you should do. This is that, which is quite nice because then it's like, no, I only have to ask this person.
And that's a really powerful thing because there was actually only a 3% difference in terms of the ways that I was looking at that. And that 3% difference makes a really big difference
Mhm.
from a compounding perspective. And the brain is really funny because it doesn't understand compounding effects directly. And that was really peace giving as well, because I can go back and negotiate very pointedly and know that this is the
Yep,
industry standard and this is where we hire in this
exactly.
arena, and I'm not getting taken advantage of by something that I just don't know at this stage. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's powerful.
solved in two Slack messages by yours truly. There we
Exactly.
go. There we go. Job done. Amazing stuff. All right, cool. Rebecca, as we round up the interview here, by the way, to people watching this, I'm going to mark this as a part one. So I'm going to hold Rebecca accountable. Hopefully, she doesn't get too busy for me and we can do a part two down the line. But yeah, Rebecca, as we wrap this one up, two groups of people that typically watch this, the first of which are current clients and the second of which are people that are on the fence. Maybe they're still stalking Charlie, like you once were and I once was at back in the day. Let's talk to the current clients, right? What would you say to them in terms of the best pieces of advice you can give to succeed with the program?
Yes, be obsessed and be as obsessed as possible. Get in there every single day. Make it a part of your religion. I mean, truly,
Yep.
get into each of those modules and build, baby, build, and be as open minded as possible to be able to correct and optimize for yourself. Don't be above anything. Just understand that you're sitting your ego aside and you're just receiving in that space.
Yep. Yeah, and
Yes.
that's an amazing point Rebecca raises because she, like she said, she had no ego whatsoever, and she was already doing relatively well. One of the most common traits I've seen, Rebecca, especially with all the clients I've interviewed, the ones that are already doing well, they came in with no ego. They said, "No, I was already doing well, but I'm a learner here. I'm not ignorant. I'm ignorant to everything. This is what I'm going to do." Whereas naturally, you'd think with a lot of the bigger things, they'll come in with saying, "Oh, I know it all." Complete opposite from what I've seen with clients like yourself, where it's like, oh, I'm actually a beginner, and they get the best results.
I mean, truly, if you step into anything and say, I'm going to be the best student in the room, and you optimize for that, anything is possible then.
Yep,
So,
that's it.
mhm.
There we go. Now, my favorite part, my favorite question, the second half of it, what would you say to someone on the fence, almost as if you're speaking to yourself, okay? Someone that maybe have gone with other solutions and, there's a lot of hesitancy behind joining another program and whatnot. What would you say to those people after working with us for more than a year now? About
Mhm.
14 to 15 months to be precise.
It's really funny. At each intersection of Imperium, I have waited for some sort of sign. And in the first stage, I actually had a fire in my house. I didn't tell anybody about it, and I wanted to be obsessed with something to be able to continue to build and hold me accountable in that space. And it's actually something that got me through in a really beautiful way. And that was something that anchored a lot of the ways I was moving at each perspective. in the mastermind now, I also waited for a sign.
Mhm.
And there was a license plate in front of me with Noor's name, and I snapped a picture. Now the car didn't really reflect him, I have to say that, but
Yeah.
the license plate was there, and it's in Virginia, which is a very strange thing to see in that moment. And I actually texted it to him and said, like, this is so wild. Let's go. Like, I
Yeah.
can't even argue with this. Like I've surrendered. And I wish I wouldn't have waited for a sign. I think that that is one of my main regrets. And you can feel safe to jump even if you don't have complete clarity, and it feels illogical. This is like the one illogical decision that you can make too soon, because it is
Yeah.
the most logical and the most consistent. And so, yes, thank you for being a sign for me.
Of course. And Hannah, if you're rewatching, you're welcome because that sign got Rebecca past the finish line. So yeah, in your face, Hannah. And yeah, to people watching, obviously, obviously, Rebecca got the sign, but please don't wait for a car license plate with no on it to jump in the program. I think that goes without saying. So yeah, no, wonderful, wonderful stuff, Rebecca. Cool. That's pretty much it for the interview, guys. Rebecca, where can people find you if they want to keep up with what you got going on?
Rise, Reign, Rule is my handle in everything. So Rise, Reign, like a queen, REIGN, RULE. And yeah, we make female millionaires, and we are truly on a mission. I know that a lot of my girls have felt the difference from Charlie. Even when I joined the mastermind, I think like 2 weeks later, they were like, something's up with you, something's different with you. I was like, yes, I feel good now.
Amazing. I
So
love it.
yeah.
Wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful stuff. Amazing. So, guys, please check out Rebecca's website below, and keep up to date with what she's going on. As I said, this is going to be the part one. We'll get a part two locked in the book soon. And yeah, for those of you watching right now, I'll do my famous outro here. If you watch this interview and you've come across this crazy internet marketing world of ours, and you've seen these guys with the Lamborghinis, the Hawaiian shirts, they're in Miami, and they pop open a laptop and they press a few buttons and they're a millionaire overnight, and they'll teach you how to do that for 497 or whatever it is nowadays. And you think this program can do that for you? Sadly, it cannot. Okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a magic pill that will make you rich overnight. As I always say, guys, if you find the get rich quick pill that makes you rich overnight, send it to me. I'm right here. My Instagram is Normia with an extra H. I'm being deadly serious. If you find it, send it my way. Okay. Now, to be even more serious, if you are someone that is willing to actually put in the work and follow a proven process to really scale up and ramp up your business, just like Rebecca has done here, then feel free to book a call with us as we're more than likely going to be able to help. If you have any doubts, reservations with regards to anything, it's perfectly normal. This is actually the 120th interview we've done. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for this milestone. There's 119 other interviews you can check out, which don't include part twos, in case you needed to do some further due diligence, which is perfectly understandable. So, feel free to watch that across different niches, verticals, and whatnot. And then you can book a call, okay? But please do book a call if there's any sort of, you know, thinking as to whether this could be for you, because we could truly change your life here. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the interview, guys. And we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Bye.